What's going on, guys? Me, Ricky Sal, back with a new video, and today we're taking a look at the Enchanter, the new class in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. It's going to be really interesting to me because I know that this quest existed in EverQuest. So if you're an EverQuest player, you probably know what you are getting into here with this class. But for everyone who came from like WoW, especially like the early versions, or maybe even current WoW, probably has no idea what the Enchanter is, because there was nothing similar in WoW to the Enchanter as far as I know, because I can see he's a support character. So that should be really interesting, especially for WoW players. And to EverQuest players, I pretty much apologize because I don't know anything about EverQuest because I never played the game. I know that this class existed, but that's as far as my knowledge goes with this class. And so let's get into this. If you decide to pick up an Enchanter, you can see here, you can play an Enchanter as a Dark Mirror, as a Dwarf, as an Elf, as a Human, and as a Gnome. We see the Gnome here on the picture, especially for people who played WoW, and Gnome is something very different to you. But as we can see here, this is what a Gnome looks like in Pantheon. Looks very interesting, very more, kind of reminds me a bit, because I'm playing currently a lot of Guild Wars 2, a bit of the Ashura, you know. They look like they know a lot about how very good at technique and like how to abuse energy and that kind of stuff, so, or use energy, therefore. And those are the races you can pick if you decide to play an Enchanter. On the bottom left, you see the picture of all the races, and let me know in the comments down below which one of those you would make if you do an Enchanter. Now, we have a little bit of a story here. It's actually pretty short, so I can read this out real quick. Like the current of a raging river is the pull of an Enchanter on the mind of their adversaries. Through a single word, the Enchanter can turn the intent of an enemy and break even the strongest of wills into submission, whether through trickery or coercion. Really hard word to say. The Enchanter is adept at controlling the battlefield and forming order out of chaos. So this is really interesting. I think this class could be interesting to people who are looking for something unique, right? Because if you look at the classes in many different games, this is more of like something kind of special, not something that is in every MMORPG, even though it existed in EverQuest. So let's check out what this role is of this class. So as we here can see, it's a support role. Very interesting to me. I thought it was more like some kind of DPS, right? I kind of compared it a bit to the mage, for example, in WoW, and I seem to be totally wrong there. It is a support character class. So very interesting there. It uses mana, very simple. Compare this again to the Cleric video I did, where I was really confused about the combat resource that a Cleric is also using next to mana. But here we can see that this is pretty much just mana, as we know it from mages in WoW, for example. Available armor, cloth, and arcane shields. So cloth, very typical, only thing that they can wear. But arcane shields, I'm not quite sure what that exactly means. They have some different type of shields that they can put on themselves, maybe, and that they can pick up through dungeons or stuff like this. I have no idea, or maybe it's just a class ability. Very interesting to see how that kind of works out. And available weapons are a dagger, club, stave, quarterstaff, and a longstaff. Very interesting here as well. If we scroll down to the abilities of the Enchanter, as I mentioned in every video I do, those are not all abilities that the Enchanter has. There's a lot of different abilities that the Enchanter will have. If you watch the dev stream, there's multiple pages of abilities that every class has, but they put those abilities out to kind of show what this class is about, and just to show a few, because we don't want to, you know, already know all the abilities. That will kind of also take the fun out of this game. So let's go through the first abilities of this class. Rend the Mind. Rend an enemy's mind with a burst of mental energy, dealing magic damage and restoring some mana to your group. Very nice. So if you use this on an enemy, your whole group gets some mana back. That is very cool, especially because I assume Pantheon is going to be a game where mana is playing a role. You know, it's not like WoW where mana just fills up randomly. You almost never have to reg. Mana is going to be a really important resource, right? And something that you maybe have to take care of if there's like going to be longer fights and stuff. So that is really cool to see. An ability you get some sorry, I was confused here. I saw something in my Twitch chat, even though I'm offline. It's kind of weird, but okay. So that is super cool to get some mana back. Lyrith's Grace. Enchant a target's mind to judge you more amiably, increasing your faction with them to the next rank. Enchanted target's mind to judge you more amiably, increasing your faction with them to the next rank. Very interesting, something very unique going on here. Kind of curious how this is going to play out in the game. I'm not sure what that exactly means, but this seems very interesting. So he can do this. I don't know how long he can do this for. We have no timers or anything on this, but very interesting, something very unique to the Enchanter, and kind of cool support ability in a kind of different sense. So very interesting to see this. Isolate, numb an enemy's senses, reducing their assist radius. Not quite sure how this is meant, but I assume if you put this on an enemy, maybe a druid or something, maybe his range is kind of like not as big anymore. So if you wanted to heal somewhere over there, all of a sudden his range is way smaller and he has to get closer to that target in order to do something with it. That's kind of how I understand it. Super cool. Maybe some EverQuest players who know a lot about enchanters in general can help me here in the comments down below, because this is a very, very new class to me. I've never played a game where there was like an enchanter, so yeah, very interesting. Illusioncraft, Rapid Mind. Graft an illusion of urgency into an ally's mind, increasing their spell haste. Very interesting. Spell haste for your other casters in the group, maybe to another healer, maybe to a wizard or like a mage kind of type class. Very cool, so you're casting a bit faster. That is super nice, and everyone in the group will be begging for this kind of spell, because I assume he can only do this into one ally's mind, right? I'm not sure that, but I think that's going to be the case. So you always want to have this up if you are like a DPS mana class or like caster in this group. Very cool. So always good if you're playing a wizard, make sure you have like a friend who plays Enchanter, and then you can do like some cool dungeons maybe. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And you can like blame him if he's like not putting it on you and be like, dude, give me Rapid Mind. What's going on? You know, it's gonna be interesting. All with good vibes, guys, obviously, just for funs and giggles. Ayumai's Dueling. Disenchant the materials in an enemy's weapon to weaken it, reducing its damage potential. Ooh, very interesting. So if we are looking at maybe some PvP background here, if a warrior is attacking you, hitting you with his really rare or really legendary weapon or whatever that guy has, you can reduce his damage dealt with that weapon. Very, very nice. Cool to make sure that you as a clothy don't get hit too hard. I like this ability a lot. You can also put this on like enemy NPCs probably, right? So it's super nice. Thought Thief. Infiltrate the short-term memory of an enemy and completely erase their hate towards you. So, I'm still kind of curious here, because why would the target have hate towards you? Is it maybe because there's heal aggro in this game? Because as far as I understand so far, hate is like kind of like the thing that generates, if you have the most hate on the target is most likely to attack you. That's kind of how I understand it. I hope I'm not completely misunderstanding this. So I just not sure. I'm not sure why the Enchanter would have the most hate on a target. Maybe because if you heal too much, the target is going to swap on you. That's we call this like heal aggro in WoW, for example. So I assume that that's what it means here. Maybe let me know in the comments down below if this is wrong, what I just said. But that's pretty cool. So you can literally do a lot of damage, heal as much as you want, put this on, and boom, your hate is going to reduce, and the target is not interested in you anymore. Or just use it whenever the target is, you see that the target is going to swap on you. You use Thought Thief, and boom, the target is going to go on the tank maybe again, right? Super, super cool. I need to really contain myself, because whenever I go through these abilities of the classes, I want to play each class, and so I just need to calm down a bit. This happened with the Druid to me, because the Druid just seems so awesome with his abilities as well, but also the Dire Lord, like, oh my god, so good. Rune Skin, it's a passive. You will naturally absorb a percentage of incoming damage, up to a limit. It doesn't say physical or magical. I assume this is to all damage. Once that limit has been absorbed, Rune Skin will have to recharge for a short duration before passively reactivating at full effect. If not fully depleted, Rune Skin's damage absorption capacity will slowly replenish over time when not taking damage. Wow, so in order to do a lot of damage to you, they need to make sure to be hitting you all the time, or else your absorption will refill again. That is super cool. Wow. I have a feeling this class is going to be very fun to play in PvP, especially. and it just seems really interesting to me, especially because it's a passive. That is super strong. That means that this is pretty much always on you. We have no timer or time here, or like how long it is on you, what the cooldown is on this, but super interesting here. Fascinate. I'm kind of fascinated by the class, to be honest. Mesmerize an enemy, incapacitating them. Any damage will break the effect. Okay, so a small CC that this class has, very cool. But yeah, if they take damage, maybe AoE or anything, they will break out of it again. So that's cool, because then the team has to be really careful about what they do and how they do it, and be careful of not getting the enemy out of this effect. Gaven's Wild Display. Release a surge of frenetic energy, stunning up to 4 enemies around you for a short time. This is awesome. I would assume this is like a really good ability once, for example, you pull way too many mobs, like not even intentionally, and you can use this while maybe try to get away. It's like a little bit of a oh shit button to me. Maybe you can also use this in like group pulls and stuff really well. We'll see. Very nice ability. 4 enemies. That's a lot of enemies that you can pretty much stun here. So very good ability here. Whisper of Tysire. Flood your group with the Whispers of Tysire, increasing the rate of mana regeneration. Again, mana rec. So this is going to be a super important class for like the Clerics and the Druids to have in your group, right? Because you want to make sure that you always get the mana from this guy back. He gives you mana with Rend the Mind. He gives you mana with Whispers of Tysire. This is very cool, man. Oh, I love this. Like, every class has his unique spot in this game, right? Where you need every class for something. It gives me some flashbacks, especially for the mage in WoW. Very small example, right? He always had to make food and water for people, or else they had to go and buy it. No other class could make food or water, and food or water was really important back in the day. And this is like his kind of unique way to be really helpful and really important to the group. Obviously, that means that mana needs to be a very important source in Pantheon, and I hope that will be the case. We're all assuming that Pantheon is going to be this hardcore MMORPG where mana matters. It's not like WoW, where mana is like just an afterthought, right? So if that is the case, then this is super cool. Super cool. Shock and Awe, or Ave, sorry. I have trouble pronouncing some words in this because I'm not a native English speaker. I try my hardest, and I hope that you guys are not going to be too uncomfortable with it, or like, you know, too annoyed with it. Confuse an enemy with bizarre imaginings, causing them to attack another nearby enemy for a short time. Very cool. It's like some kind of mirror effect, right? Or what? Wait, no, he's not saying he's doubling himself or something. Confuse an enemy with bizarre imaginings. Okay, so maybe he's seeing some weird images and it's like distracted, and he's attacking a nearby enemy for a nearby enemy for a short amount of time. So he's actually going to attack his own enemies. Okay, that's pretty cool. Very nice. Turning an enemy into an ally for a bit, I guess. Not sure how long this is going to hold. I would assume not too long. But very interesting. I like this. It's kind of like I love this class, man. This is very interesting to me, especially because I never knew what an Enchanter is, right? Prior to knowing that it is an EverQuest. But like I said, I haven't played that game. Squeeze Mimicry. Disguise yourself in the likeness of a nearby object in the environment. This illusion is quite effective and will fool most enemies, causing them to ignore you. Any movement will break the effect. Wow, nice. That is super cool as well. I wonder if this is also working in PvP. Like, how good is this disguise? Is this mostly thought for, like... I assume this is mostly thought for, like, PvE. So, NPCs and stuff are just not going to recognize you. This disguise would have to be really good for, like, actual players to not tell that there's actually an Enchanter there. If this would be the case, even more mind-blowing. But I assume that is not what this does. But very cool. But it says here, like, will fool most enemies, right? So I assume, you know, like NPCs, maybe some animals, but that's pretty much it. Still very cool, though. Obviously, if you move, it's gone. Or else it would be a way too strong ability, I feel like. Running around this bush there. So, I don't know. Super cool. Illusioncraft. Entrusted with the Enchanter's art of illusion crafting, you are able to discover, learn, and use illusion-based abilities. This is kind of what I was talking before with like there's other classes in the game or in some MMORPGs that can like do a lot of illusion stuff, maybe like triple, quadruple yourself. Enemies don't know which one you really are, right? All that kind of stuff. Doing a lot of illusion-based abilities, and I'm super excited to see this. This is like a class that will disturb or like distract a lot of enemies. Like this is going to be a very cool class if you want to be this guy who just confuses your enemies, right? I think that's kind of what this class is for. Super cool. I haven't seen a directed heal on this class, so I'm a bit confused on why it says like support, right? Because I see that he gives back mana and all that stuff, but we haven't really seen a direct heal from this class, right? So maybe he's like doing damage, but he's able to provide mana. Like, let me know in the comments down below, guys, what an Enchanter really is. If you come from EverQuest, that would be really, really appreciated. But other than this, guys, thanks so much for watching. I don't want to keep this video too long, but really excited. Super cool. I love how Pantheon is going at this with the class identity. Super, super cool. And hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.